Renee Paquette did her latest up close sit-down interview with FTR. And this was the first time that Cash Wheeler spoke about his legal incident that went down in 2023. This had the alleged incident was believed to have happened in July of 2023, and the news came out several weeks later. And what Cash Wheeler was accused of was veering onto the shoulder of a highway and flashing a semi-automatic handgun at another driver. And this person who was in the car, they reported Cash Wheeler, or I should say, they reported the incident and took a photo of his Jeep and then identified Cash Wheeler during a police lineup that they had assembled. And I mean, this guy that accused him of this, like, put in a sworn affidavit, and Cash Wheeler maintained his innocence throughout this whole thing, but he was facing up to 5 years in jail. Like, this is a third-degree felony in Florida. The case was completely dropped earlier this year, as the state of Florida was not going to move forward with it. So this is all now behind Cash Wheeler. But here is just he spoke about this at length in the interview, but here's just a short summary of it.
I told my lawyers when it happened, like, I would not take any sort of plea deal. I would not plead guilty to any charge whatsoever. That, like, I was not guilty and I was not going to take any sort of plea. And like, so like I did what I could. Like, when we got back from Wembley, the day that I landed, I paid thousands of dollars out of pocket to drive to Tampa to take a polygraph test.
Oh my gosh.
Which I passed. They're like, the ones that want to think I'm guilty are going to think it no matter what. The ones that want to believe me, they believe me the whole time.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I paid thousands out of pocket to take a polygraph.
That was Cash Wheeler. Just a small amount of his answer. But I mean, this was someone that, you know, if you listen to it, he was adamant. He did not do anything here. And he was, number one, I think just on the principle of it, he was not going to accept a plea deal, even if it meant getting out of the worst case scenario. But I mean, you get a felony on your record. Like, he noted the fact, I could have been fired by AEW because I cannot be taken overseas. It's going to affect my work. It's going to affect Dax Harwood. And said he got to the point where he thought all of this attention from this legal case was going to do harm to Dax, that he was willing to just walk away from wrestling entirely. He was just going to walk away from all of this. And yeah, he outlined here getting a polygraph test just as kind of getting his own evidence, like, not to say like a polygraph is necessarily admissible, but he noted that. But the fact that he was going to get every ounce of evidence he could here. And yeah, that was his side. He hasn't spoken too much about this other than they've addressed some live crowds and just noting he was, you know, he was not guilty of this action. But this was the first time he actually spoke about the case, which that was a big burden on him for about 9 months.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say, like, I think it's tough for us to definitively maybe speak on exactly what happened because none of us were there. We can only go by, you know, what the result is, I suppose, and also just our own personal feelings. But I hear this, and my personal opinion is that I believe him. You know, like, I didn't know that he did the polygraph. I didn't know that he's telling us that he was willing to essentially, like, accept the worst because he wasn't willing to accept a plea bargain, which is at least, like, pretty damning, like, I guess, conviction, you know, that you would hear from somebody who truly believes that they're innocent. So, I mean, again, none of us were actually there at the scene, but at least, like, in terms of my opinion and my personal feelings towards Cash Wheeler, I tend to believe him. And I wonder how many people, before hearing a clip like this, felt this strongly. Like, I almost get the sense that this was sort of a lingering reputation on him, that, like, somehow he was somebody who got away with doing something like this. And I at least for me, like, I wouldn't think that at all now. In fact, like, I believe, like, Dax was saying, like, you know, hey, like, let's give him a hand. Like, remember, like, when he actually,
it was in, like, Toronto, right, where they did it once.
Might have been, was it Toronto or was it BC maybe?
Maybe you're right.
Hard to remember at this point. But anyway, like I remember that being kind of met with like a little bit of discomfort because like what exactly are we cheering here? But if you are accepting, certainly from Dax Harwood talking about his best friend, like that story, that this is a guy who's truly innocent and was, implicated in all of this and has managed to escape it, of course you would, celebrate that. So
How does this get that far would be my question, because what we had to go on, like this was a charge that was filed. You had the accuser that gave a sworn affidavit onto what happened. And I mean, it becomes very difficult if you're someone like Daniel Wheeler here in that prove something that did not happen. If that is in fact the case, like that's a really tough position to be in. And I would just say, like, if that is in fact what happened, like he was completely falsely accused, like there should absolutely be punishments for people that make the like.
But even that's hard to prove. I mean, we again, you can't go by polygraph. All you can really go by is just like opinion. There are many cases like this, not just involving this, but if we're talking about something more serious, like sex crimes that are out there that are only the cases of two people that are unfortunately in this sort of vague territory. So again, like this is not a definitive answer for exactly what happened, but we can at least on these podcasts speak about our own personal opinion about how it makes us feel.
Yeah, it's like rereading the affidavit today, like it was stated that the accuser took a picture afterwards of the Jeep, but like that's not a photo of the incident in question. Like that's a photo of a Jeep. It's not like to my like in me reading this, like this was just he took a photo of the Jeep after this alleged action occurred. So that's really all you had to go by in terms of evidence was that this Jeep was in fact there. It's a tricky story for sure, but this was one where
soon enough there will be cameras on every single light post. The satellites will be able to catch everything. So don't you worry, everybody. We're already capturing all of this stuff on surveillance. If you like this video, consider joining our Patreon, the Post Wrestling Cafe. Multiple bonus podcasts every week, ad-free shows, and access to our full archive. Otherwise, a like and subscribe is much appreciated. Thank you for watching.